thrilled to help your driving style. Jim and Jeff at 866-469-0026. On Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio.
Welcome back to Golf School with Jim McLean and Jeff Warne. We're here with Terry Hashimoto, and we're talking about BodiTrak and pressure mats. So give us a call, 866-469-0026. Jim, we got a caller here. Bill's been patiently waiting. Bill in Atlanta.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Go ahead, Bill. You're on the phone with Jeff Warne and Jim McLean and Terry Hashimoto. What can we do for you?
Great, thanks so much. I guess my question is for Terry. I've watched a lot of tour events on TV, and when they show the guys, or some of the guys' swings in slow motion, you can see that their feet are actually almost airborne at impact. Is that something that you found is common when you've been traveling around BodiTrak? Is that something I should try to do, or what have you found about that?
That's a great question, and thanks for asking that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, those long hitters, they're airborne, and we call it going dark, where there's no data available when
You've never gone dark.
I don't mean that in any bad way. I mean, it's just that you can't see the data when their feet are off the ground, and we have seen that. And it's a tough move to teach, but there is a lot to be said. And what Jim was talking about earlier was about the pressure. How hard do you push down and then up? And we're finding that the longest hitters, all of them, no exception, which what makes the common denominator so great and easy to observe, is that they all push up prior to impact. And there's no other way.
Well, Terry, we know that a little guy like Willie Oosterhuizen or Rory McIlroy coming off there and just hitting it absolutely forever. Freddie Couples, Davis Love, Ryan Moore, so many great players. And that girl that I teach, Lexi Thompson, who's been number 1 or number 2 in length on the PGA Tour, has the front heel off the ground. If you say she goes dark, they're going through impact.
Yeah.
I like that term. But it is a hard thing to teach. It's not something I really teach. It's just that if you see somebody who's able to do that as a kid, which a lot of kids are trying to get power, and they kind of ingrain that move. It'd be tough to start somebody at 60 years old and try to have them go dark on the forward swing, but at least we can get them to move over to the front leg. And one other thing that's really interesting is the COP trace that moves backward. You first move forward, then there's a little backward, just a little spike right there, and then you're forward again, which is something that I've written a little bit about in the ESEF swing book, where I saw a little movement in the right foot where it goes up and down. There's a quiver move there, and there's something happening. In other words, when the hips stop moving forward and turn around and go backwards, and this is happening in a microsecond, but people that don't have that backward spike don't hit it as far. That's correct, right?
I absolutely agree. We call it the power trace, and we define the power trace as the center pressure once it makes its transition to the lead foot, and then returns back to the trail foot. And that sounds complicated, but it's not. It's really simple. It's just a move to the lead foot, to the front foot, and then back. It's got to go forward or you're losing power. And it's effectively using their lead foot as a brake. And Jim, I believe you're the person that got me onto that, calling it the braking effect. And it's caught on. Everywhere we go now, people are saying, that's the braking effect. And it's true. You're right.
Well, I remember in the early 90s analyzing video for Jim, and we used to refer to Freddie Couples having that move and Davis Love having that little right foot kind of stutter step with that weak moving momentarily backwards. It's a hard thing to quantify, it's a hard thing to teach. It's interesting that you can highlight that on your technology. I think the amazing thing is, the Scottish pros were talking about this 100 years ago, about hitting against the firm left side. And then all of a sudden everyone decided there was no weight shift and we need to stay on our left side the whole time. And you don't historically see many people doing that. It's interesting that you can actually measure.
Yeah, that's the cool part. Jeff, go ahead. I was just going to say, I was at a restaurant, Sam Snead's the other day, and looking at his old black and white pictures. I think we've all seen them. And it's amazing how stiff his left leg was at impact. And then they had all the pictures of Trevino and other guys. And those shorter guys that weren't very, they weren't very big, they were kind of diminutive, they really stiffened out that left side of their lead foot at impact, that lead leg, and it's crazy. I wish we could get those guys back in those dates on that machine, because I'm sure that you'd see what we're talking about.
Yeah, no question about it. I noticed just looking at your website last night that you were speaking about different clubs. The COP is basically the center of pressure, just so for the listeners out there, but different clubs having a different optimal COP where your weight is at different,
Absolutely.
linear transfer or whether it doesn't. We're speaking about here, we're going forward and momentarily back for the driver.
Absolutely. I spent some time at a university called Holland College up north, and we took the traces of all the long drivers, and they all had this reverse COP trace, and then we didn't know exactly what it was back then. But then we asked them to vote on who was the best iron players, and what was interesting, and what we wrote this article on WRX, is that their iron trace was linear. We subsequently call that a lateral trace now. But the line went straight back and straight through. That was it. Very plain day. No, there's no backup, no nothing. And it makes sense. I mean, Jim pointed this out to me when I was down at Trump. That's just the trace that the good iron players are going to use. And then also Jim and I were talking about, how does the long hitter just instinctively do that linear or lateral trace with their irons? They had no option, because if they pulled up towards impact, you know what you're going to do with that. You're either going to chunk it or hit it thin. I mean, it's interesting that Gary Player, when he was under pressure, because he always had a lot of pull-up with his driver, I'm sure, under pressure with his irons, he'd walk right through it. And that's why.
Well, and Terry, of course, with a driver, you're hitting on a level blow or a slightly ascending blow, and an iron, you're hitting on a downward blow. So what I've seen in studying head movement, and everybody has head movement, is exactly what the BodiTrak shows. That it isn't a straight line going through. The head stays more forward with an iron. But with the driver, it's almost fundamental. It's like 95% of all tour players have that backward spike. As we looked at BodiTrak, it's so exciting to see that. And what's interesting is that once you get the feel for it on BodiTrak, you're showing the guy how to do it, you get results. So one of the things I'd like you to answer is, like, I know it's exploding since you were down here. That's probably a year ago. But where is BodiTrak going into? Like, what type of clubs and what other facilities have you been able to get BodiTrak into now that you have so much data?
Well, I appreciate that question. Let me just say this. When I got started with Patient Tech Vista, who owns BodiTrak, they made it their point for me to go out and learn how to use the device before we started selling it. And I give full credit to Robert Godin, Frank, and John Thorpe for this, and I mean that. They said, Terry, we know you're a golf guy. Go learn how to use this. So I did that. But I spent 50 days about on the road. I just got back from the Belfry in the UK. The UK is exploding. Europe's has had pressure mapping for years with the Sam Balance and swing catalysts there and all that stuff. But because we're portable, and because it doesn't matter whether you have 400 or 1,500 sensors, the data still looks the same. And because we're affordable, it's just going like crazy. Then in the United States, we just got back from Marion. We're there with, we're trying to standardize the terms that are going to be used in this field so that it grows faster. Jim's a big part of that. All the McLean guys are. And this is just, it's erupting. We're at Congressional, we're at Medina, we're at Marion, we're at Philadelphia Country Club, we're at Chelsea Piers, we're at Capilano in Canada, Glen Abbey and so forth, the Nicholas Golf Centers, PGA Tour Academies. It goes on and on. And Jim, thanks for giving us a chance to be with your facilities, because this is really what golf needs. It needs an easier way to learn. And even though I'm not the most articulate guy in the world, but I do know something. We made golf pretty darn complicated when we started building golf clubs that could just change the way we play golf. I mean, there's no easy swings anymore. You got to jump on it. You got to get your weight at the right time, at the right place to hit the ball solid.
Well, let's go to the ball. You're a really smart guy, and I really appreciate you. And I love this stuff. But go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Jim, let's take Frank, who's been taking place. We've got Frankie Tech.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Frank, Jeff and Jim
let me go through this quick. Yeah, the grip is your connection to the golf club, but your other connection is your feet to the ground. And I would like Terry to talk about how, you got a guy that's got his center of pressure too far left, he's over the plane. What do you do with BodiTrak and to fix that pretty quick?
Well, and thanks for asking me, because Jim's the one who taught me this. It's the easiest drill in the world. You just lift up your left foot, or your lead foot. If you're a left-handed golfer, it would be your right foot. But you just lift it up on the way back. So all your weight's on one foot, and then you stomp it down before you make impact. And this step drill is just so easy. It'll change your weight distribution immediately, and you'll see the line on your BodiTrak get much smoother. It's crystal clear, and it only takes 2 or 3 swings to effect the change.
And Frank, what that does for you, change your swing plane right away. So if you get into your right side and you make a turn where your weight on the BodiTrak goes toward the right heel, that means your right hip retarding is going away from the target line. That means your arms are getting deeper behind you, and that means you can bring the club down from the inside. Now, nothing's 100% slam dunk, but if your weight's going the wrong direction, if you're starting with your weight forward, for you as a right-handed player, a left-handed golfer, which there are a lot of those on the PGA Tour, weak grip, your right side's out too far, you stay on your left side, you're going to go over the top of the ball every time. So having good weight distribution at address, and then getting your weight to transfer rotationally back into the right side and getting behind the golf ball, you got about a 99% better chance of having a better swing plane. So nothing's perfect, but I hope that helps you, and thank you very much for calling in.
Thanks for calling in, Frank. Jim, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back to Golf School with Jim McLean and Jeff Warne right here on Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio.
That was a good question that guy asked.
Yeah, that was a good question. Do you have the assistant producer going, Jeff?
I do. Yep.